I was just gonna say, did you want to move a bit into Five Nights at Freddy's?
Oh yeah, sure.
So have you seen the movie? Oh yeah, you have seen the movie, haven't you? I watched your review.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, just to get me caught up?
Oh, I liked most of it. I watched about 50 game theory videos to get ready for it.
Yeah.
Um, and my highlight of the experience was three guys sat next to me just making fun of the movie the entire time.
Oh, dang, that's a shame. Did you end up seeing it again, like to make up for that?
Yeah, but I just don't really like the film, to be honest. I didn't like the whole Vanessa is Afton's kid, but in the film they say that he killed her brother, which would mean he killed his son. Why didn't he kill her?
Where in the film did they say he killed his son? I completely missed that.
For some reason, I think I was mostly listening to the idiots next to me, but for some reason I remember in my first watching of the film her saying my brother went there and never came back or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I might need to do another rewatch then because I have no memory of that. But I mean, if that was said, then that definitely changes a couple of things for me, definitely. But
Mm,
my main issues with the film was that it mostly just felt like it was trying to be both a horror film and a kids film at the same time, which just didn't
yeah.
work.
The
So
whole scene where they're building a fort, that the moment that came on, I sort of just switched
yeah,
off. Like when Bonnie lifts up his or her, whatever it is, thumbs comedically, I switched off and I couldn't be bothered anymore. I just wanted to leave the theater.
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've seen so many people arguing on social media platforms about that though. Like they're saying, well, they're playing and stuff because they're kids. They're still kids. And I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, we know they're kids, but they never did any of this stuff in the games. Why are they doing it now?
yeah. Another
So
thing is, technically, they're like over 20 years old now, so they aren't really kids anymore. Just because they have the brains of kids, they would have matured a bit if Afton is literally like controlling them. Would they not have learned something from him? Speaking of
yeah.
Afton, waste of Matthew Lillard there. I felt so annoyed. Like I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
big return to horror. It's gonna be Stu next, and then just like, no, 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 nothing.
Um, I, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say it was wasted because what we did get, I did love. Like he was definitely the best thing about that movie for sure, even though he had like maybe 11, 12 minutes worth of
Yeah,
screen time. But I think in terms of him portraying that character, he did a phenomenal job. I can't see anyone else in the role now apart from him. And obviously, we know that I believe he leaked it himself in an interview way before the movie came out, and he said, "I signed a contract for 3 films." So we
yeah,
know that we know that he's gonna possibly come back. We know that he's definitely going to come back in the next movie and hopefully have a lot more screen time. Uh, but obviously, the only problem will be that we don't see his face unless it's flashbacks or something, because by that time he should come back as Springtrap like he did in the games.
yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, another thing that annoyed me about his entire character in the film was the Springlock sequence because it was a PG-13 movie, or for us here in the UK, a 15 movie, which also very annoying. I walk into the theater, can I see your ID, please? And then I see the goddamn like scene where they're building a fort. If I was 10 years old, I wouldn't have been scared of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Springlock scene, when he got killed, that should have been a lot more gruesome.
Yeah,
Like
I
there should
wanted
have
to
there,
see guts coming out there.
yeah, exactly. Like there should be blood splurting all over the place, and he'd be screaming like he was just going like you'd be making more noises than that. Like I just feel like it wasn't done the right way. But I guess that was probably the best that they could have done it for a PG-13 rating. I mean, I definitely thought they were pushing it at parts, especially when they showed the dead bodies of the burglars and the babysitter. Um,
That
so
babysitter kill, I wish that it was more on screen considering how she was like bitten off. When I first watched it, I thought her head was bitten off. That's how like not on
yeah,
screen the actual kill was.
yeah. I mean, I did know that she got bit in half, but I but I was a bit confused because the part of her that got bitten by Freddy was like her front part of her body, and then suddenly when Mike finds the bodies, her head and her body is inside of the dog animatronic on the floor. So I'm like, oh, I thought Freddy ate her. How's she there now? So I definitely found a couple of things a bit confusing, especially when it came down to the kills specifically. But yeah, I think the main problem here is that it just keeps on coming back to a PG-13 rating, and that's not what this movie should have been. So
I mean, the main thing which just annoys me about Five Nights at Freddy's has nothing to do with the films, has to do with the games, and more specifically the fans of the game, because they think that Chucky stole the I always come back line. He was saying that in 1988 when Bride of Chucky came out. He did not steal it from William Afton.
oh, well, I mean, I haven't actually heard people saying a lot of that, but I have heard that I have heard a couple of things about people saying, "Oh, that this is William Afton's line. Chucky shouldn't be saying it." But I didn't know that people were full on saying that Chucky stole it. Like what? But
I was literally just scrolling through Twitter one day, and I'm like, there was just this scene of like, I think it was the teaser for either Chucky season 2 or 3, and it was I always come back, and then his like laugh, and then someone put he stole William Afton's line.
clearly they haven't watched all the other movies as well. Um, Yeah, I mean, if people are saying that kind of stuff, I mean, clearly they should do their homework and find out, make sure they're actually right before trying to diss something. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to Chucky and William Afton, though, I'd choose my boy Chucky every time. He's way better, and his kills are actually gruesome, unlike William Afton.
He also
Um,
doesn't just show up out of nowhere, randomly standing in a hallway, just staring at someone ominously. Like,
yeah, I mean that's another thing as well. Like, I mean, I was going to ask you this. Why, when he got defeated, when the Springlock scene started
yeah,
happening, did the entire building start falling down? I
yeah.
don't get
It's
that.
just like his presence was holding the building up, or maybe like that's the reason he said the owner doesn't want to demolish it yet, because maybe his soul is in the building or something. His remnant, as they say. FNAF reference. I don't know, but just going back to the Springlock scene, it was originally not even supposed to be Springlock. It was supposed to be the cupcake jumping into the suit and some blood sprays out. That was supposed to be his entire kill.
That was I had no. That's the first I'm hearing of that. I mean, I
Yeah, Matt Pat literally revealed that he basically was sent 2 scripts of the film, the script they used for the film, and an earlier script, and that was how William Afton died in that script.
I bet Scott managed to convince them to go with the one where he gets spring locked because I think Scott would have straight away known that like the fans will hate this. If he doesn't die the way he's supposed to die from the games, they're not gonna like the movie at all. So we need to kill him in a spring lock scene. So yeah, but damn, I never knew about the cupcake though. That's news to me. I'm glad they didn't do that. So
Yeah, but the cupcake, though, it was the MVP animatronic of the entire film. Like, that cupcake did more kills than Freddy in a movie called Five Nights at Freddy's, not Five Nights at Cupcakes.
yeah, I see what you're saying. The cupcake definitely probably had the most screen time out of all the animatronics for sure. I mean, I don't even remember seeing Freddy that much. I mean, he was just kind of there. He wasn't even like one of the main ones. I'd say the main two, or the main three, sorry, were Cupcake, Chica, and then the rabbit, Bunny or Bonnie, whatever its name is. So yeah, Freddy wasn't even involved as much. And then when we get the introduction to Golden Freddy, he shows up for about 5 minutes before he
Then
disappears,
he
never to be seen
disappeared.
again.
Like,
So
where did he go? Abby's literally just stood outside with him. He gets in like a whole damn taxi and he drives there. And then also, what happened to the aunt? She's just lying on the floor. Oh, she went to sleep. No, she didn't. She's dead. How's Mike going to explain that?
well, it's funny you say that because apparently it's been kind of alluded to by the creators behind this movie that she might not have been dead and she might come back in the sequel.
What's he
So
going to do? Mike assaulted me. Arrest him. Give me the girl. I want all the money that you're paying him to give to me.
well, since they kind of alluded to that. I've seen a couple of videos where people are theorizing that she could have actually remembered what happened to her, and she's going around telling people that this animatronic attacked her, and essentially she gets put in a mental hospital for it, and that's how he gets to keep custody. So yeah, um,
Uh,
so I guess we'll find out about that. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say the movie wasn't terrible. I think you probably didn't enjoy it as much as I did from the sounds of it, but my main issue with it was just that it wasn't able to do as much as it could have because of the age rating. So
yeah, well, I went to the film with a friend who's a giant FNAF fan who was quote unquote high on caffeine, um, and loved the film. And then I just got home and thought about this film had 7 different plot twists basically. Its main focus is on some random kid named Garrett. Who, speaking of Garrett, I really hope we actually get more of him in the second film because he's just like, yeah, my brother died. I want to find the guy who like killed him or kidnapped him. Hey, maybe he's alive.
yeah, I mean, I really hope we do get a bit more of Garrett's story specifically in the sequel because that was unfortunately one of the things that was left unanswered. Um, I mean, we don't even know if he's definitely dead. Like right now, it's just said that he's missing. That's it. So he could return. I mean, I think though, if he was to return as an animatronic, as like a ghost, I think from what I've heard, it's looking like he will probably come back as the puppet. You know what the puppet
Yeah,
is?
I've seen people
Um,
say that as well.
so that would probably be a bit interesting, considering that the puppet obviously has like a pretty main role within the games or a big role. So I could definitely see that being quite interesting. But once again, I mean, I'm just worried because like they still have so many things left unanswered that they're now going to have to answer in the sequel. That there's going to be even more questions in the sequel that's not going to get answered.
Yeah,
So and I just hope it doesn't end up going that way. But from how this movie went, I definitely do have doubts. So
yeah. I mean, one of my main real issues with the film was the fact that it didn't really it wasn't even like an actual horror film. It was more of a thriller about this guy looking for his brother, and it just so happens, hey, these animatronics, they got the bodies of kids in them, but they don't really like say that until like the last minute, so that they can't get an R rating for saying that. Hey, this serial killer shoved these kids' bodies into robots.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I was watching the movie, at parts, it definitely gave me goosebumps feelings. I don't know whether you've seen that movie with Jack Black. I can't
Yeah,
remember when it came out. It's like nearly 10 years
like
old, I think.
2016 or just
2016,
2016,
2015.
2013, around that time. Yeah,
Um, and that movie was kind of how I would compare this movie in terms of like the horror aspect. Like it's very centered down for kids, which I do understand because of the rating, and they're trying to make it for both audience groups. But I mean, man, like, I mean, from what I've seen, a lot of the fans are actually really happy with it. But as a fan of FNAF, I think it could have been much better. And I think all they had to do to make it as good as it possibly could have been was to make it a full on horror movie. And they didn't. So their loss, I guess. But
yeah. I mean, there's a few people saying that like they should just have made it for like R rated because the original fans of the original game, which this is supposed to be based on, are adults now.
exactly, yeah. So it definitely came as a surprise when I found out that they were making it a PG-13 age rating. So
Yeah, especially since they said there is no R rated cut. They originally wanted it to be PG-13.
wait, there is an R-rated cut?
There isn't an R rated cut. They
Oh,
originally just wanted
okay.
it to be PG-13 the whole time. That's what they intended. I think the director said.
I mean, I was hearing a couple of rumors at one point when they just released a couple of trailers and stuff that there's a possibility that they might have had an R-rated cut. Obviously, now it's been confirmed that there isn't. But it would have been cool if they did shoot it in two ways, where it's for kids, and then let's just say the version of it that was released on Peacock, that could have been the adult version, so the kids
Yeah,
could go yeah in the cinema. But yeah, I mean, once again, we just keep on coming back to this thing about the age rating because clearly that was the main issue with it. So
Yeah,
it should have been rated R. Really much more to it, really.
yeah, but then like talking about the sequel, I'm pretty sure in like FNAF 2, the buildings like rebuilt and the animatronics are like refurbished, aren't they? How are they going to explain that? Like these things have bodies inside them. How are they going to try and explain that? Like, yeah, you know, they completely refurbished the animatronics, and no one saw the bodies inside, or maybe they were just like they're just dust now. They've decomposed for so long that they're just like bits of ash inside of the animatronics.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. Like I was thinking to myself at one point during the movie, like when she revealed that their bodies are in there, which I already knew as a FNAF fan. I was thinking, so for how many years were like kids playing around with these animatronics and they couldn't probably smell a bit of an odor coming from them? um, Obviously being the bodies inside. So it was definitely a bit strange. Like they didn't really explain that probably as best as they could, but I guess they just did it because it's what happened in the games, really, isn't it? So they were just doing that for the fans, I guess. They probably would have said something else otherwise. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, another thing that they really do need to explain the second one is that, like, in the film, they show the animatronics being repaired, and they show a man repairing them who isn't William Afton, who is probably going to be like Henry Emily, isn't that his name or something?
it's Henry something. I know that for
Yeah.
sure.
So, and they were, of course, hiding the last names of the main characters in the trailer to try and make everyone think they were relatives of William Afton. Maybe they're relatives of William Afton's partners, and that's why he took their son.
Yeah, because in the games, when I believe Henry like tried to sue him for like the company, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria or whatever it was called. Wait, was it Freddy Fazbear's Entertainment? It was something entertainment,
Something
I
like
believe. Um, and essentially, he sued William. William lost, so he lost the business. And to get his revenge, he went and killed Henry's daughter, who then became the puppet. So maybe that is what happened with Gareth.
so.
So,
Yeah, they're literally just maybe
so
mirroring
yeah,
it.
exactly. Is that's pretty much what's happening from the sound of it. But I mean, there is the possibility though that Mike could end up like being revealed to be like adopted or something, and we could have like a Darth Vader Luke Skywalker moment between him and Springtrap in the next movie when he says
I am
Mike,
your
I
father.
am your father. Yeah, so I mean, they could. There's still quite a few possibilities that could happen. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, until then, there's just so many questions that are still being asked. Like, I'm still wondering where they're going to go with Vanessa because she was in a coma at the end of that film. Are they just going to have like she's still in the coma in the next film, and then it's like Springtrap just going to walk into a hospital, kill Vanessa, and then just walk out? Are they going to make that another comedic scene?
Um, I mean, in terms of Vanessa, I haven't really thought too much about her character, only because I honestly I don't really care too much about her character. But in the games, the later games specifically, when she was introduced, she did actually kind of take the mantle of Springtrap.
Yeah, she
Um,
became like glitch trap, wasn't it? Like
yeah,
she
it
was
was.
controlled by William Afton's entity that was inside of a computer, and that was Help Wanted. But then, like,
Yeah,
he came back as like Burn Trap or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it was all a bit confusing because he's come back multiple times, but I believe that Vanessa was essentially supposed to be like the female version of Springtrap, and she would continue his name and continue his work in killing kids for whatever reason.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
um,
mean, maybe he's like Michael Myers. Killing people gives him like it gives him power.
I mean, I really hope that's not what they do, but from right now, it's kind of looking that way. Um, I mean, I really hope that they do give us some motivation for William, just because of obviously we know that he had one from the game, so it would be weird if they didn't give him one in the movies, really.
Yeah, I can't. What was his motivation in the game to get Remnant, wasn't it, or something like that?
Uh, well, it's a bit interesting because he did essentially just start killing because he was bored. That's pretty much the start of it.
That's
So
maybe for every serial killer. I was bored.
he was bored, but then one of his experiments that he was attempting to do accidentally got his daughter killed. So no, actually, sorry, excuse me, that might have been the second one. The first thing that kind of set him off was actually his son, who was killed. It wasn't the bite of 87, it was the other one, the bite of 73 or 83, one of the two. And essentially, his youngest son was bullied by the older son, which was Mike. And he essentially, to tease him at one of his birthday parties, which took place at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, he lifted him up and put him inside of the mouth of the
Oh,
animatronic, and it
and
bit
that,
down on him and
yeah.
killed him. So William Afton kind of thought those bullies bullied my kid and it got him killed. I'm going to kill them. And that's what kind of started his killing spree. But I do believe that it was also half just because he was bored. But then when he did set up like his first kill trap for a kid, it accidentally killed his own daughter in the process. So he was then left with just one child, which was Mike. So, yeah.
Well, maybe they're gonna try and say that Vanessa was the bullying sibling who got her brother killed, and maybe that's why she's blaming Afton for it. Honestly, I could have just made that up, but if it is in the film, and I wasn't just so bored that I just started making up my own lore for the film, um, then
Yeah.
that could be an explanation why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be revealed that she got her little brother killed because we obviously know that she's been for some reason been helping him out with his murders. So, well, did she actually commit any of the murders with him, or was she essentially just keeping them
I
quiet for him?
don't
So,
think she kept any murders. I don't think she killed anyone, but I think he was maybe trying to train her to kill people, or because she was a police officer and that was on her route. She could basically make sure no one was there. She could make sure that,
yeah,
like,
yeah, that's what I meant by keep it
yeah,
quiet. But yeah, um, I mean, the only reason I asked, like, could she have been killing people was because in the ending sequence, right before he stabbed her, he said to her, you had one job, keep him in the dark and kill him if he got too close." So maybe he's not the first person she's been told to kill, but
yeah. Well,
who knows?
maybe she failed her job before. Didn't you say something like that? You failed me before, or something like that. I can't really remember. But if she had failed before, maybe she'd let someone go before. Maybe they could show up in the sequel.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. I mean, once again, there's so many possibilities still with when it comes down to Five Nights at Freddy's, to be honest with you, because it's just so much lore. But yeah, anyone's guess, really.
Yeah, and then there's just like the third movie. How are they going to try and shove all the answers to the questions from the first movie into the second movie, and then leave questions from that to be answered in the third movie, but still have the third movie end on a place where they could maybe make a sequel, or are they just going to like end it after three? Because this movie's made what, over 200 million already
I
on like
think
an
it's
8 budget.
yeah. I mean, that was definitely a concern I had with this franchise. Like, I was really hoping, and this may actually come as a surprise to you, but I was actually really hoping that William Afton wouldn't be in this movie, because I
Yeah,
felt like, and I still feel like, what exactly are they now going to do in the next two movies? So we obviously know what they can do in the second movie. They can bring him back as Springtrap, but then by the end of that movie, he's going to get destroyed again, right? But then as
yeah.
the third movie, what are they going to do? Just have him come back as Springtrap again? It's just going to be a remake of the second movie, which is why I thought this movie should have literally just been about the animatronics, introduce us to them, similar to what happened in the first game, And then in the second game, that's when we meet William Afton. He gets spring locked in the suit. He dies. And then in the third movie, the final movie, he comes back as Springtrap. But now they're doing Springtrap twice. I have no idea what they're going to do on the second time. So
Maybe they're gonna
yeah,
do like, you know, I can't remember what one it was, but doesn't he like die behind like burning doors and then
I believe
he
that's how they
yeah
ended up fully destroying him in the end. Yeah, he got
yeah
burnt, and essentially that was them sending him back to the flames of hell, I think.
yeah
So yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean that could be what happens in the last movie. But honestly, right now, I think I have a pretty good idea of what will happen in the second one. But third one, anyone's guess right now. So
yeah. I mean, like we haven't even touched on a very important character who's basically like the 11 from Stranger Things of these movies, which is Abby. She could literally speak to the ghosts of the children. So maybe in the second one, she's going to speak to the ghost of Garrett.
yeah, that could definitely be something interesting. That would be a very interesting plot point for sure if Garrett somehow came in contact with either Abby or Mike. But once again, like I, don't- I if he's not the puppet, I don't know if I really care about Garrett too much.
Yeah.
I feel like he's kind of had his run. Let's move on now. Like I don't just want the same movie over and over again. So yeah, but
Yeah, well, there's just a lot of problems with the first one. There's going to be loads of problems with the second one, and ultimately there's going to be a very disappointing conclusion with the third one from how it's all come together.
I mean, if they can figure something out, then good for them. But right now, I can't see the third one ending on like a good note. I mean, it could be good, but I feel like it will just be a recreation of whatever the second one is going to be. So, yeah,
Or maybe like they're just gonna have him die in the second one, then bring Vanessa back and have her become Glitch Trap or whatever that thing was.
that could be something they do in the third one. I mean, perhaps Vanessa won't even be a part of the second movie. And she might just be in a coma the whole time. And let's just say there's a post credit scene, and in that post credit scene, she wakes up. Um, I mean, that's something they could do. I've also heard a theory video going on about how the third movie could take place like 20 years later, and it'll be Abby as the main lead now as an adult. So who knows? It's really anyone's guess right now.
Yeah, well, I just really thought that first one they'd have William Afton as like the job guy, then maybe like, well, I was hoping this film to be way longer because it originally was going to be 3 hours long.
Yeah, I remember those
And
rooms.
what, like, how long was this? Like 100 minutes, something like
Yeah,
that.
it was about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
So
so that's like an hour and a half of content that they cut out of this film.
yeah.
I'm still wondering what was in that extra hour and a half that was either
Well,
so bad or maybe they've secretly filmed the first two back to back and they're going to release that thing as the second one.
oh,
Or it's
that's a
going to
really
come
good
to
theory. That's a really good theory, actually. I never even thought about that. Could they have already filmed the first and second one back to back? That's very interesting. Um, I mean, it would make sense if they did, only because of the kids, because the kids obviously grow up quite quick. So they would probably look quite different in the second one. So you might actually be right there now thinking about it. Or not the full movie, but at least like main parts of it that include the ghost children and Abby. Um, but yeah, I mean, you might be onto something there. That you could be accurate. But then again, the rumor, which is all it was about the movie being 3 hours long, that could have just been someone trying to get attention, which unfortunately happens quite a lot. So I mean, who knows? But I honestly do think you might be onto something there. I've never even considered that as a possibility. So
Or maybe, just maybe, that extra hour and a half is going to go into an unrated cut, which they're then just going to shove on Peacock because they're not going to release it in theatre. Or they'll go like, I can't remember, but I think like they're just going to like release it in theatres as like an R-rated version or something.
I mean, they could definitely do that. I don't think they will because they'll think, oh, it's just more money being wasted on essentially just doing a glorified version of the film we've already done. So I doubt it. I think they're just going to say, you've got what you've been given, and they're going to move on to the sequel now. So.
Yeah, but if they did film them back to back, then that's another 90-minute film, which they still have, like, I don't know if they've even, like, announced, well, they said they're on pre-production for the next one already. So maybe that means they've got all that footage. They're gonna start work on casting some more actors, getting some more people together, maybe getting a bigger budget and film like maybe a big climactic showdown in the next one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anything. I mean, I just keep on coming back to the conclusion that anything's a possibility right now. Like literally
Yeah,
anything could happen because it's FNAF. Like next movie, we could have William Afton come back as Springtrap, or we could have Vanessa coming back as Glitch Trap. So really, anything's possible. I mean, it's quite hard to make theories and such right now. I mean, they haven't even started shooting yet, unless they filmed them back to back. So yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I guess we'll see. That's really all I
yeah.
can say.
Well, I guess we can end it there then. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this video. Um, and everyone go check out his channel. I'll have it linked in the description, and I'll also have it in the pinned comment of this video.
Thank
So
you.
go check it out. Thanks for watching.
Bye.